The scale officially says 179.0, which means I've lost more than 20 pounds.
What's up guys, my name is Kendall Skodak and welcome to my YouTube channel. As you guys could tell from the clip right before the intro, I just wanted to share with you guys that I'm officially at 179 pounds, which means a couple things. One, it means that I've lost about 10% of my original body weight, and it also means that I'm about a third of the way there to my goal weight, and I've also lost almost 21 pounds, and it's super exciting. And I basically wanted to make this video to basically share some new measurements and new progress pictures, which are going to be at the very end of this video. So if you guys want to just skip ahead, the timestamp for that is going to be down below in the description. And I also just wanted to make this video to share 10 things that I've personally learned over the course of about 2 months. And what I've learned just from losing 20 pounds, I've learned a lot of other things, but I think I've kind of narrowed it down to 10 things that I think have really impacted me so far. So without further ado, let's get started. So as I said in the last video, I'm probably going to be looking this way a lot, and that's because my camera is right here, but my computer is right there, and it's just got talking points so I don't blabber or forget anything. But number one is basically that weight loss is not linear. It sounds kind of obvious, but sometimes it's not. It's basically me saying that I've seen my weight fluctuate from time to time, and it's super frustrating, but it's super valuable to know, because that way I'm not assuming that I've gained weight or assuming that I've lost more weight than I have. And it's normally because of hormones and water retention, which brings me to my second point, and that is that water retention is a pain in the ass. Water retention for me comes from two different things, and normally it's from just weight training or just working out, or two, it's from eating too much sodium. There was an instance where I was eating out with a family member and I ate something that was less than 500 calories but had more than 2,200 milligrams of sodium. And for those of you who don't know this, 2,200 milligrams is about the amount that you should be eating daily for sodium. So because of that, I think I gained between 2 and 4 pounds in a day because of the amount of sodium that I ate before. And it's super, but it's also important to remember my third point, which is that water is actually really good for you, and it's amazing. You retain water a lot of the time when you lift weights because your muscles need a lot of water to repair all of the damage that you've done to your muscles. It's also really good for you because it helps flush out any toxins or anything that's bad in your body. So it's good to drink water even though water retention is a pain. Number 4 is basically that cheat meals are so much better than cheat days. And by that I just mean that I have been someone who just always hates dieting, and I would much rather, I live for cheat days. But through this journey I've learned that it's better to have a meal that's really bad for you than have 3 successive meals in a day and snacks that are really bad for you. Because I'm not only not applying what I've learned so far, but I'm also derailing some of the success that I've had because I'm not really being hard on myself. But it's also important to remember the thing that I want to move on to next, which is number 5, and that is bad days are so okay for you, and they're okay in general. And that's because having a bad day doesn't really derail your success, and having a bad day just proves that you're trying, and it's just important to just fix everything that you did that day and try again the next day. A lot of the time I think when people are losing weight, especially me, I will go back and I will look at all the success that I've had, and then the next day I'll weigh myself after a really bad day and I've gained 2 or 3 pounds, and I'm like, well, okay, that just means that this lifestyle isn't for me. I should just give up and go back to my old lifestyle, which is not true. And it really clicked and resonated with me when I read something on Reddit, which was that just because you have a bad day at work doesn't mean you quit your job. And just because you have a bad day at school doesn't mean you drop out of school. And that applies everywhere in life. Just because you have a bad day doesn't necessarily mean that you should quit what you're doing. It just means that you need to try a little bit harder and just fix the mistakes that you made before. Number 6 is basically that success doesn't always equate a lower number on the scale. And that's super important to remember because, like I said, your weight fluctuates. And it's super important to measure yourself because you can also get a sense of where you're at by how many inches you've lost everywhere in your body. And there's also other ways to define success, and that is how fit you are now. I can run 20 minutes and almost run 2 miles, and if you would ask me 2 months ago, I'd be like, no way, Jose, I hate running. And now I can do it. Also, I've just noticed clothes are fitting better, and I also have noticed that just my overall well-being, I just feel better in general. And to me, those are successes, even though sometimes the scale doesn't always show me that I've lost weight. Number 7 is basically that comparison is truly the thief of joy. And it's just important to remember, no matter where you are, whether it's the gym or it's just at home, that just because someone is able to eat healthier than you or they don't have issues with their weight or anything doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't be able to have issues. Their life is so much different than yours, and what they've experienced in their life and their overall just healthy lifestyle is so much different than yours. And to compare that to yours is not fair to you, and it's not fair to them. And that goes so far in the gym as well. Number 8 is basically that it's important to remember that you've done the research for your weight loss. And in other words, basically what I mean is to take other people's advice with a grain of salt. As I said before, there are so many other ways to lose weight. There's the paleo diet, there's a keto diet, there's so much other stuff that you can do, and I've chosen personally to count my calories, and it's worked for me, and I've done the research. And a lot of people will be like, Kendall, you shouldn't be eating that piece of cake because it's not good for you. And I'll be like, yeah, it's not good for me, but I can still lose weight by eating it because I've accounted how many calories it is, and I've decided that I'm going to eat it and just not eat as much food somewhere else in the day. And it's important to remember that even though someone may claim that they're an expert or act like they're an expert in health and just overall nutrition, doesn't mean that they are. So research what they're saying or just completely ignore it, because sometimes the advice that comes from other people, while it may come from a good place, it doesn't always help you. Number 9 is basically that weight loss is not glamorous. That's pretty simple, but I just want to kind of talk about how a lot of people will say that you look amazing after you lost weight, but they don't see everything that you've done. I look like crap when I run. I have sweat pouring down every part of my face and my chest, and I am out of breath and I look awful. I want to throw my plate when I'm eating something that I just don't want to eat anymore, and it's not always fun and it's not always a beautiful lifestyle, but it's so worth it in the end. And finally, number 10 is just to talk about how I'm losing weight, which is calorie counting. Calorie counting is not easy in some ways, but at face level, it's pretty easy. I'm probably going to talk about calorie counting in my next video and just how I'm losing my weight, but to kind of talk on this point, it's just that even though something might seem easy at first, or it might seem easy, and really in general, calorie counting is pretty easy, but sometimes it just is time consuming and it's frustrating because you don't want to take the time to measure your food, you just want to eat it, and that's just important to remember. And even though it's hard and even though it's easy in some ways, either way, it's worth it, and I'm worth it, and it's just important to remember. So those were my 10 tips, guys, and I hope they were super helpful for you, and I know they were super helpful for me over the course of time. Without further ado, here are my progress pictures as well as my new weight and my new measurements. So those were my progress pictures. Basically what I've seen the biggest difference for me is my face, and just overall my body looks thinner or smaller. which is super exciting. I will be honest with you though, those are like my third or fourth attempts on progress pictures as far as that day goes, because my original ones, I couldn't really see a difference because they weren't taken in the same spot and they were also taken farther away and at a different angle. So if you're going to take progress pictures, it might be helpful to wear the same clothes and make sure that you can get it to be the same as your original pictures, unless you've lost way more weight. So that was basically this video. I hope you guys learned something from it and it was super helpful. And if you guys are also losing weight, I'm cheering you guys on. And I hope to see you guys next time. Peace!